Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here again to share the good news with everyone. There's so much good news that was pouring out of me in the 10 minutes before this. And so this is Many Miracles with Kel Lash. And what has been pouring out of me is just a lot of love, gratitude. A couple nights ago, I couldn't get to sleep because my heart was in a state of bursting with love and gratitude. It was almost like a state of euphoria or ecstasy where I just I couldn't contain the love. And so I couldn't sleep because I was just in a state of deep gratitude. I was too grateful to fall asleep. So I was up kind of late, just letting that flow around. And it was really profound. And I've just been having just so many experiences lately, interacting with people who I've had these profoundly healing and loving experiences of forgiveness and just alignments and authenticity and depth and just oneness and just like a celebration of truth. And so, yeah, I've done some miraculous healing. These have all been miracles in my life. And I even have this miracle jar, which another friend of mine had told me that she made one day. And you can see, it doesn't look like a lot, but there's I think there's maybe 35 or 40 miracles in here by now in this jar. And these are actually just the really big miracles in my life. These are just the big ones. And so that's a lot of big miracles. I'm only 37 years old and I have probably about that many miracles in that jar. And I just added one this weekend. I added another one in the last two other ones in the last couple months. And these are just big miracles. So I'm just very grateful for all of it. And I just want to share that our capacity to love ourselves and our capacity to love each other is beyond what we could imagine. How much we are capable, how deep we are capable of loving ourselves and another is so big. It's infinite. It gets me very emotional thinking about it because my heart can't even comprehend that capacity, even in the state I'm in now, which is a very deep capacity to love myself and others today. And I just I'm just, this knowing this is just profoundly comforting to me, to say the least. That's an understatement. It's beyond comforting, but it's a miracle how big our capacity is to love. And it doesn't matter what amount of pain we've been in our lives. It doesn't matter how much hate we've received from others or from ourselves. It doesn't matter how much hate or fear we have attacked other people with or ourselves. We still have infinite capacity to love. no matter who we are and what we have done. And so I've just been feeling this a lot lately and seeing these journeys in other people, new people in my life, old people in my life who have returned to do some healing with themselves, with me. Um, there is so much forgiveness. There's so much capacity as well to forgive ourselves and therefore to forgive others. That our capacity to do this is so big. It's beyond our understanding, and we don't have to understand it. We just have to be willing to do it, to do the work, be willing to um, be this love. And, there's lots of ways to do it. I was thinking today about this, like the concept of love gossip. So it's like gossip, but like about how much you love someone or about how great you think they are. And because I was doing this with a friend's sister about my friend, and doing that kind of thing, like even thinking loving thoughts about somebody in your life, um, creates form. It creates more love in them. That person can feel it, even if it's not a conscious feeling. Um, they can feel that they can receive that. The love vibrations can go, I mean, scientists have measured it to like go 8 feet out into our field or something like that. But it actually goes, it's not measurable. Maybe someday it'll be measurable on a larger scale. I mean, to me, it's measurable because I see it happening in my life in a qualitative way where I do all this forgiveness work with myself and in relation to other people in my life who I've hurt or who have hurt me. And it comes back around to heal, to repair. Sometimes involves that person and sometimes it doesn't. And so our thoughts about other people are incredibly powerful to affect our lives, our capacity to love, their capacity to love and heal. So if we have our heart open in a loving state, that is a very powerful state to be in, not just for ourselves, for the entire universe. Okay, our heart is open to receive and give a flow of love beyond our understanding. We are in that spirit state. We have embodied spirit, and this state feels so good. I don't want to live in any other state. And what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, so it's like the quote. So there's the course quote that's, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but it's that the quote that talks about all thought produces form at some level. Never underestimate the power of thought to literally move mountains. And that's just one of the best quotes because it's just so true. It's what I'm talking about right now. And I've seen this happen in my life and in the lives of other people that I have come in contact with. It is true. It is true. I can't make this stuff up. I mean, I could, but it's truth. So I can't. This is how it works. And that quote, so I have this Course in Miracles bookmark that has that quote on it, and I have it taped to my car on the console in between my two front seats. And I'm going to share a really precious story that happened. I was out. I decided last minute to go out um, dancing at the gay bar with my roommate on Friday night. Because I really wanted to dance and move this energy I had and this joy. And we went out dancing. It was really fun. There's only like 4 people on the dance floor the whole night, and everyone was masked up, and it felt really safe, and it was just a blast. And we went home, and the next day, I went to get in my car to go on an errand, and I saw that the bookmark had a lipstick mark that my roommate had apparently like kissed my bookmark with this quote on it. And so I'm texting her, "That's so cute that you kissed my bookmark. That quote must have really resonated with you." And of course, my precious roommate is like, "Oh, I don't even remember doing that. But that is something that I would do. I kiss things." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, your heart must have really been resonating with that quote, and your divine self, came through and kissed it without you even remembering." And I just think that's a good representation of like our thoughts, even our unconscious thoughts, like in that example, even our unconscious thoughts that we don't even remember having or never were even aware of having are producing form at some level. She kisses the bookmark, I see the lipstick, I'm reminded of the truth of that quote. I'm reminded of the beauty and the love and the capacity for people in my life to um, heal and love and forgive and have fun and enjoy life. And so, yeah, I mean that's true. Thought produces form, and that goes both ways. So um, it goes both ways with fear and with love. So there's those famous experiments that I've done. I did this experiment myself, and my friend did this experiment too. And the experiment where you take like 3 little bowls of rice or something, and you fill them with water and you let them sit, and the one bowl you talk to with like really mean thoughts and how much you hate it and really just like attack it, and then the other bowl you just neglect and you don't talk to at all, you just completely ignore, and the third bowl you talk to with really loving thoughts about how much you love it, or how much you love it, how much love or gratitude you have for it. Those rice bowls will respond, and the one that flourishes the most is the one that's talked to lovingly, of course. The one that some people would think the one that's the worst is the one that's attacked, but actually that one gets pretty bad. But the one that's actually the worst is the one that's neglected, that gets no attention, because it doesn't even get any energy, any attention. um, and that's the worst, is just neglect, is just like a lack of love. And beneath love is fear. So even if we're being attacked, that person is actually calling out for love. So if we're in fear, if we're in attack, we are calling out for love. And on some level that actually like produces the love. That's probably why that dish doesn't do as poorly as the neglected dish. um, so that's like really powerful. That is exactly what that quote is saying, and what this idea um, is about thought producing form on some level. Um, it's a very, very powerful thing. I would like to have more love gossip in my life, and continue talking about people more and more like that. And it doesn't mean we can't talk about the bad stuff and the stories and the pain we've experienced with them, because we have to talk about that stuff to heal too, and to get an understanding of it, and to get validation about it. And we need that as well. But in order to heal, we can't stop there by talking about the bad stuff and making meaning out of those stories and sharing those stories over and over and over. Those stories at some point have to shift. We have to feel those emotions, those painful emotions, in order to then shift the story into what is the truth. And what is the truth is love, is our capacity to love. And we can manifest this in ourselves and in our relationships, in our life, in our career, in our bank account, in our families. We can manifest this actually in other people, because that's how powerful it is. It's so our thought produces form, but then when we speak out loud, when we are the two or more who are gathered, those thoughts and that energy starts getting bigger and bigger, and can increase exponentially. It goes beyond the power of just thought, the power of action, the power of words, becomes huge. The power of action is incredibly huge. So we can't stop there by just the thoughts. We can always just have the thoughts, but we have to take love into action and demonstrate it with ourselves, by how we behave towards ourselves and how we behave with others through our actions. And this has always been what I've been working on. It's like my biggest New Year's resolution every year, to do this, to put love into action more and more. And because I work at it and energize it, I've been doing that more and more every year. And, when you do that more and more, you can't go back to the level you were at before with it. You just can't. It doesn't match up. It's like, taking going and taking algebra and calculus, and then you go back and you're trying to like take a class in multiplication and long division again. You don't need to take that class again. You know it. If you're actively taking math classes, you're probably not going to forget the other stuff. So, and even if we do forget, our capacity to experience the miracle of the shift from fear to love again it becomes so much easier. And so if we're having an experience or something happens in our life with someone or something, and maybe it seems like even more painful or more traumatic than what we've experienced before, what happens is, because we have done that work already and we've gotten to the state of love and open-heartedness we're in, we the way that we experience that new trauma includes that our new capacity to love and the healing work we've done. And so it might not seem like it might not feel like that experience is easier, but it really is easier, because we brought this capacity to that experience, even if we didn't, knowingly do that. And it does make it easier, and it makes the shifts become easier and easier. And it makes one way this shows up for me is that it just feels so good to know that this is actually happening. This is proof, is that as life goes on for me, especially in the last year and a half of this pandemic, which is so interesting to me. Um, I have met more new people, new friends in my life who have an even greater capacity to love, an even greater, deeper spiritual, um, emotional connection with me. Um, I've met more of these people in the pandemic than like the total amount of close friends I had in Portland for like the 10 years before that I lived here. Um, and and what also goes along with that, and I'm so grateful for that. It's just like so beautiful, and my life is so rich. And what also goes along with that is the old people in my life, well, friends and family, like I have a greater capacity to love them, to forgive myself for things I've done with them. That has happened too with the long-term people in my life, and the people that weren't so healthy, and the people that are out there and aren't healthy people for to be in my life, new and old people. They start falling off and they are unable to interact with me. It's too difficult, it's too painful for them. They are challenged with seeing the truth, and seeing the love, and so it doesn't match up. And so those people naturally, come into my field, and then they come out more quickly now. And I learned something from that. Hopefully the other person learned something from that. um, we're all our greatest teachers, and that's just a beautiful thing as well. I'm always just waking up right before this show, and my mind is very clear in the mornings. It's when I'm the most clear, when I feel the most intuitive, the most guided. I often wake up in the morning from having really deep, meaningful spiritual dreams, or I'm like composing and singing songs in my dreams with really important messages. Um, and actually, this morning I just had another one of those dreams of this friend. I was watching this friend, and this is a message for me, like my friend represents me. Watching my friend look at people around and like not recognize that they know them and that they're friends with them, and they couldn't see it. They couldn't see. Their eyes weren't open to the truth. And I was like, what's really going on is your fear is blocking you from being able to see that person for who you know them to be, the loving friend you have. You can't see the love in them. They look like a stranger to you because the fear is blocking you from seeing the truth. Um, so we have to be willing to, offer up our fear and to unblock it, so we can see the truth. And it's like, you know, the past is in the past. So the fear we have, the anger, the resentments we have, those grievances we have towards other people in our past, it doesn't serve us to continue talking about um, that pain. And like I said before, we need to talk about it first, but we can't just put the story on repeat and continue talking about it in our own minds and talking about it to other people. It's not how we're going to heal from it, because it's energizing um, things other than the truth about that person. And the past is in the past. So just like my pain was in the past with that hurt, with that person's actions, it were also in the past. And so I'd like to choose to love my brother as myself and to see them for who they truly are now, because what they did was in the past. And the meaning I would like to make is that I can love them now. It doesn't mean they have to be in my life, because I might not be able to love them with them being in my life in physical form. I might not be able to have my heart open to that. That person may not be able to have their heart open to that. This is when we repeat the patterns that no longer serve us, those patterns we developed from childhood, from the trauma we've experienced, and we bring those into our relationships. And to see our brothers and sisters as ourselves sometimes really requires letting those people go from our lives and not having them in our lives, so that we can work on seeing them in spirit as who they truly are. So, for some people, that's how it has to be. And that's how it's supposed to be. And that's okay. That's okay. Um, that's part of the healing journey for most of us. And I had this other, speaking of this fear, I had this other dream where I was singing this song about life's too short to stay on the stepping stones. And it was just like repeating, life's too short to stay on the stepping stones. Life's too short to stay on the stepping stones. Oh, and it's a representation of these stepping stones are like kind of represent the fears. So like we're jumping on these stepping stones and maybe there's water around them or something. And staying on the stepping stones keeps us in fear. Okay, those stepping stones are there to create safety for us to navigate through life. And our fear does a really good job at protecting us. It does a really good job at also thinking it's protecting us, right? So those stepping, it's easy to stay on the stepping stones and not face our fears because the stepping stones are there. And we're going to create as many stepping stones as we possibly can to manage our fears. But the way to heal our fears isn't to manage and cope with our fears. It's not to manage them, because when we manage them, that might be great in short term and temporary, like in the moment, to work through a fear we have. If we don't know how to let it go, then managing it is very effective in the moment. And like that's, and as a therapist and as a coach, I know that to be true. Because I've seen that be effective, but in the long term, it's not effective at actually letting go of the fears because you're not actually facing the fears. Okay, you're just trying to get through the moment and survive in that moment. So that's totally okay. Like I said, if that's what we need to do. But if we continue just trying to survive, we are saying to ourselves, this fear is serving me. So I'm going to continue stepping on the stepping stones and staying in this fear when it's really not serving me. But I have, my ego has created this reality where it seems like it really, really serves me. And that is probably one of the biggest challenges that we have to waking up to the truth, because to really recognize that the fears do not serve us. It doesn't serve us to continue making choices based out of fear and discomfort, fear of getting hurt, of getting our hearts broken, of being attacked, of being abandoned. These fears make us very avoidant. And I used to be a professional avoider, so I know I avoided lots of things having to do with things that I was scared of that might make me sick. That was a big way I avoided. And it didn't make the fears go away. I know that. I had to work through them in a different way, and I did. And I did that by loving myself and forgiving myself for the meaning I made of all those fears, and, the meaning I made that had created this reality where I was a victim to the world around me. And so everything around me could hurt me if I was a victim. And everything around me was hurting me in my experience, was seeming to hurt me or would hurt me. So that was the reality and the false truth that I lived by for years, um, because I was so hooked on to believing them because the fears were so strong, that the fears were terrifying, at times. So that had to be looked at, for what it really is. And, I was scared of myself and I was scared of love. We're scared of love. Fear is is simply fear of love, because there's fear and there's love. So if we're in fear, we must be fearful of love, right? Um, so that's okay. It's okay to be scared of love. We all come into this world as human beings, with a fear of love. And we are all here walking on this earth along these stepping stones with a higher purpose of letting go of the fear so that we can love deeper and deeper. And when we love, we can experience more joy in our lives, and we can have peace from the fear, and the fear begins to dilute itself. That's what it feels like for me. It's my anxiety is extremely diluted now. So instead of this like big toxic lake, um, it's a bunch of rainwater poured in there after a long period of time, after the years. And now there's this really diluted toxins in that lake. And all the love is surrounding those little toxic molecules. So the love really can eat it up easier. And I had this other song that came to me another day in my dream was, the lyrics were love me if you love me, love me if you love me, love me if you love me, love me. So it's actually quite simple because it's this idea of, if you love me, then love me. So why would we do anything else than to love each other and to love ourselves? So if you love me, if I love somebody in my life, then love them. Like, love them. Why would I not, if I love somebody, why would I do things that represent not loving them? So I really liked that one. I think that's a really good message. Spirit gives me such wonderful messages in my dreams, and they're so powerful. And yeah, so yeah, let's give ourselves permission. So I share another story with you. I, if we give ourselves permission to do the things that scare us, so sometimes it can work like this. This is a cool thing. So things can begin to manifest in our lives when we just give ourselves permission to do something that scares us. So if we're so scared of doing things, well, don't even look at it first as, well, I have to do that thing to uh, face my fears and, not be scared of it anymore. Well, there are some steps we can do in between that. So like, and actually as a therapist, like, you know, you'd call this systematic desensitization or exposure therapy, where you start exposing yourself little by little. So say you have a fear of spiders. You begin by just thinking about a spider. And maybe the next step is you look at an image on your computer of a big spider. And maybe the next step is you get this little toy spider and you put it in your house or something. And it's this little fake spider. And maybe the next step is you like look for a spider outside and you like stay really, really far away from it. And you're like, just like looking at the spider for a second and then you run away or something. And so you're taking steps you're giving yourself permission to face the fear, the total immersed situation. And so that is a way to do it as well, to just begin thinking about what would it be like to be around this without fear, to be in this situation without fear, to interact with this person without fear. What would it be like to love without fear? If I didn't have fear, imagine the experiences I could experience, the people I'd meet, the relationships I'd have, the love that would expand in my life, within myself, in my relationships. And yeah, because recently I gave myself permission to actually face a fear that I had. And I gave myself permission to take steps towards doing this. I realized that the fearful thoughts around doing it really began to fade. They really diluted. The fear and the discomfort I had around it got a lot lower. And so this works. Even if we just give ourselves permission to think about it, we can begin to manifest that courage and that love and that faith. I'm going to read some things that Dove posted here. I like this. Salvation, truth, forgiveness is your happiest accomplishment. It is also the only one that has any meaning, because it is the only one that has any real use to you at all. Yes, thank you, Dove. That's a great summary of what I have been sharing right now. And he says, seek not for love, but all the barriers to love's presence. Yes, the barriers to love are seek not love, but all the barriers you've had against it. Yeah. Love is joy, joining, oneness, communication, sharing. Yeah, love is the relationships with ourselves, and with each other as well, where we get into the oneness, the state of oneness and the state of truth. And what happens is fear can't exist in that state. It has no space for it. It doesn't belong. It's the thing that doesn't belong, right? And we can manifest this stuff and by giving ourselves permission and by energizing what we'd like to bring into our lives, and things that are holding us back from playing small. And yesterday I have all this paint on my hands, because yesterday I was helping my friend paint a manifestation door. And she had this vision of painting a door, like an actual door, with like this message, these symbols, this imagery, of manifestation. So the idea is like you look at this door and you walk through the door, to manifest what you want to manifest in your life. And it was a really fun, creative painting activity. And that's the thing about, so manifesting something begins by energizing it as just a thought. So if we want something, it's not that hard to just begin thinking about it. But if we think about it, we have to think about it in a specific way. We can't just think about it as, this is never going to happen for me. This is too hard. I can't do it. I don't have the time, the energy. I don't have the money to do this. I don't have the skills to do this. I don't have the help, the resources to do this. That's playing small. That's using your fear to try to create a reality, but I don't know what reality we're trying to create by saying I can't do something. The only reality we're trying to create by saying that is a continuation of a reality where we can't do something. So how does this work? By beginning to think about it as we can actually do this. And a way we can manifest something too is we can think about it as something we already have. So like I'm working with manifestation right now, well, with a lot of stuff, with like spiritual coaching clients, with money, income from spiritual coaching clients, with getting on the TEDx stage with my TEDx talk that I'm applying to, do an RV that small RV that I can purchase and live in and travel in. And I have to imagine my life on that TEDx stage. I have to imagine my life in that RV, enjoying my life, enjoying the freedom, enjoying the things that will allow me to do. We have to imagine our lives with that thing we'd like to manifest. And even if we imagine specifics with it, it's also important to remember to be open to the other ways that can show up. So sometimes we have more specific visions of what we want to do. And it's not always going to be that specific. So, maybe my small RV isn't supposed to look like a small RV. Maybe it's something else. Okay. Maybe it represents something, another way that I can build those values or that freedom in my life. That's not an RV. I don't know. I think it's probably going to be an RV, but I don't know. So I'm open to other ways that might come in to my vision and manifest for me. It could be a completely different thing than I imagined, but it could represent those same spiritual qualities that the RV gives me. So like, another way to have more financial freedom, to have more ability to spend time with friends and family, more connection with nature. There's like infinite ways we can manifest something to give us what we really are needing and desiring from that specific thing. So when we think about it, what can also be helpful is to think about not necessarily the specifics of what we want to manifest, but how we would like to feel when we manifest that thing. So if I want to manifest that thing, it's because I want to feel a certain way, and having that thing or that relationship or that experience, I believe will help me feel that way. So what we're really wanting to manifest is the feeling. I don't need an RV to feel those things. I feel all of those things actually right now in my life without an RV. But so if we focus on what are the feelings I'd like to feel, and energize it, like journal about it, write it, draw about it, paint a whole door and put it up in your yard, do whatever you want to manifest, a vision board. I've done that too. To manifest it, start doing some meditation on what it's like to live right now that, with that heart's desire fulfilled. What is it like to have that relationship? What is it like to have that experience now? How does it feel in my body, in my heart, to have that in my life now? And if I imagine having that, all that in my life now, I will actually begin to, or continue to experience having all that in my life now. Because, like I said, it's not about the specific thing in form. The form doesn't mean anything. It's not real anyway. So it's about how I feel with that thing. So I can just sit in a meditation and I could have the same experience I could be having if I actually had an RV. I could have that exact same experience in a meditation where I imagine having an RV, if I'm focusing on how I feel, because it's how I feel and what I value and what I need that's important. So if I create that experience in a meditation, I have already embodied all of that stuff. And so I have it already. You see, so we already have this in us all the time. And if we can get into the state of gratitude for what we do have, what are the things that aren't working out? What are the aspects of that that actually do fulfill these values, these needs, these heart's desires for ourselves now already? They might not look like we want them to look, but they're there. What is can I find something to be thankful for now in my actual reality, in my life now, that I'm grateful for among this experience that I don't like, that I don't prefer? So, like, for example, if you have a job that you hate, there must be one aspect of that job you could find that you are grateful for, that does align with your values. There's probably at least one tiny aspect of it. Because if there wasn't, you probably wouldn't still be doing it. In some way, what we're doing right now is always serving us for our highest good. And even if it doesn't feel that way, because it's leading us to the experiences that are even better. And so I desire to have this or something better is a good way to think about it as well, to manifest something. Because if we envision having this specific thing or something better, that opens us up to seeing that or something better. The something better involves infinite more possibilities. So let's be open to that as well. And yeah, we're always guided to where we're supposed to be. We are always on our path, even when it's painful. We're always on our path. And I could think of every painful experience I've had in my life right now, and I can find gratitude in every single one of those experiences. I absolutely can say that with complete truth right now. And that feels really good. And if you're not there yet, that's okay, because you can get there. You will get there. You can heal from that and experience gratitude from the pain. And that gratitude feels extra good because gratitude and love without the pain and without the fear is actually kind of meaningless. You know, love exists and we feel love. Um, and it feels so good because we have fear to compare it to. You know, that's one of the um, purposes, the functions of fear, that we can compare it to love. And then the love and the gratitude and the joy feels so much better. That's the experience I had this weekend. The reason that felt so good and so deep and so euphoric was because it was in relation to a past experience that created deep, deep pain, some of the deepest pain I've had in my life. And I can only smile about it when I think about it, because there was just full forgiveness there, self-forgiveness of how I showed up, and, you know, the victim I had created within myself, and how I treated others because of it, and how I looked at the world and how I treated the world because of it. I treated the world as something that was hurting me and not serving me, and was going to be very scary and continue pounding me down into the ground. And that was my belief system. The only thing that made that true was that I believed that was true. That's the only thing that made that true. And I know now that it's not true. We have infinite capacity to love, to let go of our fears, to let go of our pain, to forgive ourselves and others, to walk in this world where terrible things happen all the time around us and still be at peace. And be at peace because we're in a state of compassion and love for ourselves and others, not be at a state of peace because we're bypassing or not acknowledging or being apathetic to the painful experiences of others and what's happening. That's not what peace is, and that's not what I'm talking about. That's avoidance, and that's denial, and that's fear going on to protect ourselves. And like I said, that's okay if we're in that state as well. But it's not the final step. The final step is much more miraculous than that. Step is miraculous, and it turns into a jar of miracles like this. So do some manifesting. Write a letter to manifest something. I manifested my cat this way. Yeah, my ex told me to write a letter about the cat that I wanted, and a few weeks, I don't know, some short period of time later, um, they brought me to a place where I locked eyes on that cat. Butter is her name. I locked eyes on her, and it was love at first sight. Um, I knew nothing about that cat. I didn't have to know anything. My heart knew that cat. I get really emotional thinking about that experience and thinking about the last several years that I've had this cat. I didn't need to know anything about that cat. I looked at her and I knew I knew her capacity to love unconditionally would expand my capacity to love unconditionally, and expand my gratitude and joy and care for someone else. And that is completely what she represents in every way. Our animals are great demonstrations of that. We really have a great capacity to love animals unconditionally because they behave differently than humans do. I'm so grateful for that. So the power of manifestation is real, you guys. It's real. It's not the only time that worked for me was with my cat. So go out and do that and be the light and be the love and embody it. And don't let the fear trick you into believing that that's who you are, because that is not who you are. You are a loving being, and that's what you're here for. And you're going to heal yourselves and heal the world just by being a loving being. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what your job is. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. So go out and be the love, everyone. And I hope you have a blessed day full of connection and love and joy and gratitude. And if it's a hard day, just remember there's one thing at least that you can be thankful for. That was okay. And please know that. And remember that as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kel Lash, and wonderful to hear you. I will send you this recording as soon as I get it done. And hope you have a wonderful rest of your Labor Day holiday.
Thank you, Lynn. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.